Imagine the world of gender as a big old theme park where you get your ticket at birth. Your ticket would say, "Welcome to the boys zone" or "Welcome to the girls zone." Now, some people would look at their ticket and totally agree that the ticket fits and is as comfy as a pair of socks. Well, this is the very essence of being cisgender. It means that your gender identity, which is how you feel inside, matches the gender on your birth certificate. They're like a penguin who's perfectly happy waddling around on the ice. The penguin has no desire to fly or live in a tropical paradise. It's happy being exactly what it is, a cool, ice-loving bird. It was born a penguin and identifies as a penguin. Cisgender individuals are less likely to experience gender dysphoria, which is the distress some people feel when their gender identity doesn't align with their assigned sex at birth. Some studies also suggest that about 99% of the population is cisgender. This makes the cisgender experience the most common gender experience, yet it's often taken for granted. Transgender. So, in the big old gender theme park, imagine if someone got a ticket for the boys zone, but as they wander around trying to get comfortable, they realize that this zone doesn't really suit them at all, or vice versa. Being transgender is like ordering pepperoni pizza, but when you take a bite, you realize you really wanted a veggie one. So you switch it up to get what you truly crave. If you're biologically born male, you might feel there was a mix-up at the factory and you were meant to be female. Your sex organ feels like the ultimate mismatched accessory, leading to discomfort or dysphoria. So, to fix what you consider an error, you could start dressing and acting more feminine to express yourself better with clothes and makeup. Some transgendered individuals use hormone therapy, which is like a medical makeover that lets them align with the physical traits of their gender identity. Or they might opt for transitional surgery to get a more permanent look, making them the best version of themselves. The crazy thing about being transgendered is that some of them actually experience something called phantom limb sensations, similar to amputees. Even if they haven't undergone any transitional surgery, they might feel sensations or discomfort in the parts of their body they feel shouldn't be there. It's like their brain is already wired for their true gender, but their body hasn't caught up yet. Genderqueer. Being genderqueer is like living in the Wild West, most fun area of an amusement park where all the rides are unpredictable, the rules are flexible, and the possibilities are endless. Imagine being at a buffet and creating your unique dish that isn't on the menu. If you identify as genderqueer, then you don't quite fit into the traditional boys zone or girls zone. Instead, you might find yourself exploring all the rides, mixing and matching, or even creating your unique attractions. It's like ordering pizza with every topping imaginable, because why limit yourself to just pepperoni or veggie supreme when you can have both and more? You could even add some pineapple on it. I'm just kidding. You totally reject being called a boy or a girl because it doesn't just fit into the freedom you feel. You would also use gender-neutral terms like they or them instead of the typical she or he. Sometimes you'd even come up with your own unique pronouns, usually called neopronouns, and it can be anything from zir to completely inventive terms that reflect your personal identity. Agender. These are the people who refuse to be put inside a box. They smash the box and make tiny paper planes out of the pieces. Agender people stroll into the gender buffet and say, "Gender? No thank you. Not for me." They experience no connection to traditional gender identities. Being agender means having no internal sense of gender identity. It's not about being neutral or partly male and partly female. It's about opting out of the whole gender game entirely. It's like being at a dinner party and refusing to eat anything because you brought your own snacks. If you identify as agender, you'll see gender as just a concept that doesn't truly exist and wouldn't want ever to be classified under any category. To you, there's nothing like being male or female. You are just human. You'd also refer to yourself as genderless or gender-free. They would prefer pronouns like they, them, or theirs, or in some cases, they may prefer just to be referred to by just using their names. For instance, Emily will be talking to you about feedback from Emily's last seminar. Agender people also suffer from what is called gender fatigue, which is the exhaustion that comes from repeatedly explaining or defending their lack of gender identity. It's like being constantly asked to participate in a game you have no interest in. Gender fluid.
Then why not just make up? Like, if it's such an exhausting thing, then why not just say, I'm a boy or I'm a girl, you know? And just, even if you're pretending, right? Just avoid the exhausting questions.
Identity. It's like being choose to identify with. One day you might feel super masculine, rocking a power suit and be ready to take on Mike Tyson in a boxing match. But the next day you'd wake up feeling like a very fragile flower, rocking a really cutesy, feminine, and flowery dress, ready for your Prince Charming to come sweep you off your feet. Some days you might wake up not feeling like a girl or boy. They are totally fine with being addressed as him, her, she, he, or whatever. Non-binary. You know how sometimes when you go to your favorite restaurant, you can't seem
This
to
is very
decide between a
informational.
pizza and a burger,
I
so
never
you
caught
just
up
get
on
both
these terms.
instead? Well, this is exactly how non-binary people are, except they do it with genders instead. Rather than choose to either be a boy or girl, they decide to forget the whole identity and just mix and match their genders to create one that perfectly suits how they feel inside. Think of it like an artist who hates all the colors in his box of crayons, so he smashes everything together to create the coolest rainbow color. Non-binary people have this flexibility with their gender and can get to choose any gender identity from demigender to gender fluid and even agender. There is no limitation to which identity they can choose to be. It's like having an all-access pass to a gender theme park where you can choose any ride. However, if the ride has the traditional male or female gender written on it, then a non-binary person is totally forbidden from entering. This means they can be anything aside from the traditional male and female gender. They go as far as changing the way they look, dress, and even their pronouns to they/them just to show their displeasure and to prevent society from stuffing them into a particular gender box. Demigender. Demigender is like trying to tell a story when you only have half the book, but it's the most exciting half. It's a situation when someone feels a connection to a particular gender, but not the whole concept of it. So let's say your gender identity is in a pie chart. Now, for most people who were born genetically male, the whole pie would be labeled masculine. But for a demi-boy, most of the pie might still be masculine, but there would be a mystery slice of something entirely different. You can be demi-anything, demi-boy, demi-girl, or even demi-saurus. The demi prefix means your gender identity is a mix and a half-and-half combo instead of the all-in-one identity. You'd have 1 foot in your assigned birth identity and 1 foot in the spectrum of every other gender identity. People.
Alright, I hope you learned something.
It's a stereotype that teens are entitled and feel invincible. But what happens when they take it to the next level?